Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So, I'm going to continue reading They Shook Hands. Now, I've read so many Harry Potter fan fictions. We've been over this. I already said this. I'm going to sound like a broken record at this point, but They Shook Hands is my favorite Harry Potter fan fiction. I've read a lot of fan fictions about the Harry Potter universe, and there's a lot of fan fictions covering what would have happened if Harry had been sworn to Slytherin. Covering possible details what could have happened if Harry had been Slytherin instead of Gryffindor. And yeah, the They Shook Hands series is my favorite fan fiction that covers this topic. So let's recap what happened so far. Harry met Draco Malfoy. They become best friends. They shake hands. Harry then befriends Draco's other friends from Slytherin. They all become friends, on the train ride, and they all get sworn to Slytherin. And they all have some adventures together. Potions is their favorite class. They have clashes with Ron Weasley, who is Harry's rival in the story. Because Ron Weasley insulted Harry's house, and he thinks that they're all Slytherins are evil. So because of that, Ron is insulting everybody that's a Slytherin. So that's why Harry has such beef with Ron Weasley, and why they're enemies. But, Harry is doing well in potions, and he seems to be having a good time so far in the first 7 chapters from what we read so far. But the story continues. So let's continue reading with all that said. They Shook Hands, Year 1, Chapter 8, Friends Who Stick Together. After their night of chases, terror, and panic, Harry and Draco fell into bed completely exhausted. Still scared beyond reason, they were asleep as soon as their heads hit the pillows. When Theo shook them awake 6 hours later, Harry just did not want to get up. Harry, none of that, Theo scolded. As Harry tried to roll over and pull the covers over his head, Harry probably did not intelligible grunt, much the ones Goyle and Crabbe often made. Theo stepped back and took stock of the situation. He summoned Crabbe over to assist. "Grab him," Theo ordered. "Goyle, you grab Draco. We have to get these two awake and come to class on time." Harry vaguely felt powerful hands latch on his pajamas. And the warm covers were pulled away and cold air shot down his neck. He went to reach for the blankets, trying to get back to the warm, cozy haven that was his bed. Though he was not aware of it, Crabbe practically dragged him down the hall into the bathroom where Theo was already had the showers running. Theo pointed to the 2 stalls, indicating for the 2 boys to put their burns under the spray of water, and checked his watch, frowning. Harry became awake with a gasp of water as water was suddenly cascading on his head. He sucked in a mouthful of it and started choking, spitting it back out into the drain. Barely, he leaned back and looked out the stall, where Theo stood with his arms crossed, looking at his watch, tapping his foot impatiently. "Let's go, you two already missed breakfast. Bathe." Harry fumbled the stove and began to wash, only realized he was still wearing his pajamas. He groaned and began unbuttoning them, chunking each soaping piece out onto the tile floor. 10 minutes later, to clean with hair freshly washed, all still very wild, Harry stepped out of the stall and took the towel he held out for him. Went to the sink and began brushing his teeth. "Let's go, Draco," Theo snapped, highly irritated. "I'm conditioning," Draco's voice came back, drifting on the stall along with the steam. "My hair is high maintenance. Your head is going to need maintenance if you take any longer, because I'm going to have Crabbe put his fist through it. We're going to be late for potions." "Almost done," Draco sighed. 2 minutes later, the shower was off, and Draco reached for his towel. Come on, back to the room, hurry." Harry and Draco quickly stepped back to the door and pulled on their uniforms and robes. Despite only having potions today, they made sure to take their wands. Harry picked up his school bag, and the Slytherin boys hurried off to their classroom. No sooner did Harry sit down next to Tracy than Professor Snape stalked in, and a heavy scowl across his face. "Weasley," he barked, "have you figured out where a Bezoar can be found yet? You've had all week." Weasley had been whispering something to Finnegan and jumped flushed slightly. "No, sir. Sorry, sir. 5 points ruined for being grossly unprepared for class," the potions master snapped. The class went on without further incident as they reviewed the steps of probably brewing a forgetfulness potion. Harry was blurry throughout the lecture, despite having missed breakfast. The ingredients list was enough to kill his hunger. Though he was still very tired, Harry and Tracy managed to turn out a respectable potion, and Professor Snape raised both of them, saving a Flaskovic. "Next week I want a roll apart from each of you detailing the Professor Snape broke up what he was going to say and stopped in his tracks." He slowed down like a striking hawk and seemed to snatch something up off the floor. He held his hand to the Gryffindors, the remember all grinning in his palm. "This belongs to you, Longbottom, does it not?" "Yes, sir," Longbottom said, barely able to get the words out. "Better keep track of your possessions and don't leave them in my classroom. 5 points from Gryffindor." Professor Snape carelessly tossed the remember along Longbottom's general direction, and Parvati paid his barter barely caught it for him. Weasley's face was bright red. He was clearly furious. Harry was stunned. Longbottom hadn't dropped the ball in the dungeons. He lost in the corridor during flying lessons. Professor Snape knew it. Were teachers allowed to lie like this? Lie like that? His mouth must have been hanging open because Tracy tapped him under the chin. "Hush up," she whispered. "We'll talk about it later." Snape assigned their homework and left the classroom, slamming the door shut behind him, leaving the first students still in the midst of cleaning up. Most of the Gryffindors finished up quickly. The Slytherin girls hurried off, and Blaise didn't wait for the others. "I'll see you all later. Let us go send Owl home to my mother." Harry, Drake, and Theo were filing out the room, and Harry felt a shove from behind that propelled them into the wall. Hey, he said, turning around. There stood Weasley and Finnegan. They looked like they were itching for a fight. Longbottom didn't lose his rumble in this dungeon, Potter, Weasley spat. You told me yesterday you didn't have it, you liar. And he was telling the truth, Weasley, Draco drawled, reaching casually for his wand. Harry's fatigue had evaporated. You didn't believe me anyway, Weasley, he said, his pulse increasing. He felt adrenaline rush come on him as his body prepared itself for fight or flight. Why should I believe a lying, sneaking Slytherin? Weasley sneered at him. Harry felt his own temper start to rise. There was one thing Harry had hated about living a private drive. Above all things he had hated, is being called a liar whenever he told that they didn't know how strange things kept happening around him. Whether it was how the glass of the zoo disappeared, or was Harry's insistence that didn't want it to be cut. Harry's protestations had always met the cries of liar. To hear Weasley echoing the false accusation was maddening. Shut up, Weasley, Theo snapped. They kept their word last night, never showed. Quite right, Draco continued. You could have found out how honorable Slytherins are if you hadn't chickened out at the duel. You also don't know the first thing about Weasley honor. Tell me truly, did you go tiling to Filch after dinner, or did you tell that rule-spouting wanker of a brother? Weasley went red again, went for his wand, found one in his face before he could get his hand halfway there. Weasley froze. Harry had him dead center. The cute Theo kept a close guard on Finnegan, who was looking very nervous. Draco leaned in close. Let's get one thing clear, Weasley. You are inferior. You're almost as inferior as the Muggles your family loves so much. I don't know why you're here and not in some public school. Do you know the Muggles can go to school for free, Weasley? Books belong to the school or loaned out to the students. Wouldn't that be nice, Weasley? Your parents could have sent all 20 of you? Could have sent all their grubby little spawn to Muggle school. I know you were afraid to duel me last night. That's why we tattled to Filch. We don't like tattlers, do we, lads? No, Harry and Theo said firmly. That's not how it was, Finnegan protested. We got caught by McGonagall, Weasley echoed. And you were so scared you spilled everything to her, Theo sneered. Is that the famed Gryffindor courage? Draco smiled nastily. I don't believe you, he said, throwing Weasley's words right back in his face. So as payback for snitching, you're going to get all the hexes you would have gotten last night, but this time you don't even get the dignity of fighting back. As if on cue, Crabbe and Goyle had been cleaning up the last spilled potion, came out of the classroom and grabbed Weasley Finnegan from behind. In the classroom, Draco directed. The Gryffindors were dragged inside. The Slytherins filed in orderly. Lock the door. Colloportus, Theo said firmly, sending a jet of black light into the lock. He pulled on it twice, but it stayed shut. You can't do this, Malfoy. Weasley shouted angrily, starting against Crabbe's iron grip. You should have kept your word, Weasley. Not only do you have to suffer, but your friend does as well. No, just wait a second here, Finnegan protested. Draco pointed his wand and cast his favorite hex. Furunculus. Harry was fuming with anger. Weasley called Harry a liar, insulted his house, and sent him up to get in trouble. Dudley Dursley was no longer the person Harry hated most. That honor was reserved now for Ronald Weasley. He was itching to cast some hexes of his own at Weasley, but Draco was casting for all he was worth. It would be enough. Next few minutes were not pleasant for Weasley and Finnegan. He held firmly at Crabbe and Goyle. They couldn't fight back and dodge hexes and jinxes that Draco cast at them. Their cries of pain, which they made an effort to hold back at first, echoed loudly off the stone walls. Draco Finnegan with about half a dozen hexes. Weasley took a full dozen more, another boilless hex fills it out for reaching him. Draco's next two spells also failed to materialize. Breathing heavy, sweat glistening off his brow. His usually neatly combed hair is nearly as untidy as Harry's normally was. Draco staggered and nearly fell. Weasley and Finnegan were about to collapse on the floor, crying. Next time you should keep your word, Weasley, Draco said in gasps, spitting on the boy. He turned back to his friends. Let's get out of here, I'm knackered. He led the way through the open door. They came to a sudden halt. Professor Snape was standing in the corridor, arms crossed and looking very imposing. Sir, Draco stammered. Snape said nothing, keeping the pressure on. They continued to sweat. Harry was panicking inside. They're sure that this meant detention or even expulsion. All in a neat bit of work, Mr. Malfoy, Snape finally said. We might want to pick a different room next time. I'll deal with those two. You lot get out of here. He swept past them into the classroom and slammed the door shut. The boys looked at each other with one mind. They flashed back to the common room and began to laugh. I, Harry said, trying to control himself. Thought we were dead for sure. What happened, Tracy looked very concerned. Weasley tried to start trouble, Draco began, and failed utterly at it. He couldn't keep talking for his laughter. Theo picked up the tale. We dragged him Finnegan back to the potions classroom. Draco gave them all the hexes they deserved. Theo laughed so hard he fell off his chair and onto the floor, kicking his feet weakly. Tracy began laughing at him. Harry chimed in. Didn't he more than a few minutes, but when we left, Snape was watching us. Oh boy, Millie said. Do you get in any trouble? Not a whit, he replied. All would be attention and lots of points for sure. Preposterous, Tracy said, still shaking with glee. Professor Snape would never betray his own like that. You know he despises Gryffindors as an axiom. Say that again, Draco wheezed, in plain English this time. Between the relief and knowing that Professor Snape was truly looking out for them and Tracy could use grown-up words, even in the current situation, the Slytherins couldn't control themselves. It was a clear incident of mass hysteria. They all recovered from their manic laughter. They put their books away and hurried up the great hall for lunch. I remember they had some interesting news to share, but it's not the sort of thing that should be discussed in the open. It was a patient through lunch, clearly eating his fill and waiting for everyone else to finish. Back in the common room, he stirred the story. All eyes turned to him. There's something extremely valuable being kept here in Hogwarts, he began. Wherever used to be kept in Vault 713 at Gringotts, now here in school, and there was a three-headed dog guarding it. We actually hit in the forbidden third corridor last night while running from Village Street, who contributed. Huge monstrous beast it was, straight out of Greek myth. I'm sure that it was Hagrid emptied that vault at Gringotts. He took me there before he went to my vault. It was this little thing, about 5 or 6 centimeters long, wrapped in brown paper. He told me I shouldn't mention it to anyone. That was secret Hogwarts business. Hagrid did seem very evasive when he asked him about the article from Daily Prophet, Millie said, her voice curious. And he said that was the only place safer than Gringotts and Hogwarts itself. The presence of that dog only confirms it. We got something extremely valuable here. Harry was pleased that he made such a brilliant argument. Or it could be dangerous, Draco pointed out. One never knows about these things. It could be anything, Theo said, stifling a yawn. I imagine there's any number of magic rings in the world. But how can a simple magic ring justify a great slobbering giant dog, Draco pressed. I don't know, Theo admitted. But I do know that we could speculate for weeks and still not come up with the answer. We need more clues, Harry decided. And just how we're going to get them, Pansley asked derisively. They're not going to just go telling students what it's all about, especially not first-year students like us. We'll go hunting around, Harry said. Aside from being scared half to death, the three-headed dog was quite an adventure. Adventure, Daphne said, sniffing. Nearly getting killed doesn't qualify as fun in my book. It was rather over the top, Draco admitted. I can do a little less deadly of an adventure next time, though. Any further discussion was cut off as Marcus Flint, the 6th-year student and captain of the house Quidditch team, came up and sat down. Marcus was not a handsome boy that was being polite. He looked as though his grandmother had dialed him with the troll. He had a high, sloping forehead, beady little eyes, and crooked teeth. Sorry to burst in, he said cheerfully. But Burst seems just told me about Harry's little room adventure. So you want to try out for the team, do you, Harry? Yes, quite, Harry said, his dreams of Quidditch glory filling his mind. You have looked to have the right build for a seeker, Flint said, still cheerful. We're doing trials next weekend, so get yourself a top-notch broom. You certainly can't do it with the stool stick. I will, Harry promised. Good, glad we had this little chat. Do carry on. Cheerio, Flint said, getting to his feet and ambling off. Congratulations, Harry, Millie said, shaking his hand enthusiastically. You're going to get on the team, Pansy said, sing-songing her voice, and we're going to destroy the other houses. Harry grinned. I just want to fly again. I would not understand the lure of the Copen sky. But we got to get to the courtyard, Millie exclaimed. We got flying lessons. There's no stampede for the door. After lessons for Lord, it felt good to be in the air again. Harry went up to the hourly with Draco. He had to get his order off to the Nimbus Racing Broom Company so they could have the broom for the trials next week. Draco was being kind enough to loan him Arlet for the posting. Harry was quickly coming to see the adventures of owning one's own owl. When the order was sent on its way, there was nothing else to do until dinner. Harry didn't feel like studying, nor did he want to play games with the others. Excusing himself, he went into his cloak for a walk out into the battlements. Some fresh air did him plenty of good, and it had been several days since he had seen the sun properly. In the morning, while trying to get dressed and prepare for class, didn't count. When he got into the hall, though, someone was waiting for him. You shouldn't go wandering by yourself, you know, Tracy told him, gesturing for him to walk next to her. Why is that, he said, falling into step with her. Alone, you make an easy target. That statement was rather profound as they walked in silence. Tracy was an interesting person, no doubt about it. She didn't feel the need to silence the random conversation. She said she was content to really spend time with someone. Why'd you follow me, Tracy? He asked curiously. Because you're my friend, she said with sincerity. When someone wants to go off and be by himself, it usually means there's something wrong. There's certainly truth to that. Friends are good for talking to you about stuff like that. We listen, we care, we want to help. So if we want to talk, Harry, I'm here to listen and help if I can. Harry didn't answer immediately. The words that he wanted to say were tricky. He couldn't think of exactly the right phrasing. I guess I'm just a little bit overwhelmed by everything, he said finally. I've been doing real well with magic thanks to my friends helping me, he added. That takes some getting used to. Yesterday I found that I've got a gift for flying. I got to try out for the house team, which other people don't get to do. Everybody knows my name, but I'm judged on simple things like the house I'm in. Never had friends before, and they're all so wonderful. I'm scared I'm going to make up and it'll have to be just a glorious dream. They stopped walking, and Tracy looked deep into his face. Then she hugged him. Startled, Harry was about to protest, and he realized that it felt nice. Hugging was something he never did. Everything Young Burns certainly didn't inspire hugs. Dudley rather pound on him. Hesitantly hugged Tracy back. He tried to squeeze too hard. He didn't want to hurt her. She kept her arms locked tight around him, holding on as if for dear life. Finally, she released him. Now, did it not feel like a dream? She asked. Harry grinned. No, it felt very real. Thank you. Welcome. If you want a hug, just let me know. You just let me know. Harry kept smiling. I will. No, this has been arduous for you, she said, continuing down the hall. You told us a bit, but I still can't imagine what it's like to live with the Muggles. Wake up to their stupid hatred every morning. It's remarkable that you're as normal as you are. I'm certain they're not all bad, Harry said. Out of the billions of them, there's got to be a few who aren't stupid and cruel like those awful children knew at school. Tracy, not all wizards are wonderful either. We've got a darn right side better ration than the Muggles do. I've never met a nice Muggle, Harry mused. But that doesn't mean there aren't any. Just because Muggles have been mean to me doesn't mean it's right to be cruel to others. It's talking about Granger, right? Harry nodded, and all the rest of them are Muggleborns and Muggle lovers too. Pretty titanic issue to deal with, isn't it? Harry nodded again silently. I know most of it seemed that we speak without thinking, but that we hate without understanding why. But that's just not the way it is. Mugborn wizards almost caused our culture to be destroyed hundreds of years ago. There was a war going on, and these Mugborns got involved because they had kin who were fighting. They started using magic. Muggles saw it to them, and panic was near the end of us all. Memory charms hadn't been invented yet, so there was nothing for it. Those wizards were assassinated. Eventually, enough people were killed in battle that those who survived were considered insane. It was a very scary time, and those stories stay. Mugborns cannot be trusted. Surely they've evolved since then, Harry protested. Tracy smiled sadly at him. Ever pick up and read a Muggle newspaper, Harry? It's about murder, rape, and other atrocities. On any given day, a Muggle newspaper is a testament of how man's humanity to man. Oh yeah, that's part 1 of Daisha Can's Year 1, Chapter 8, and I'll update with part 2 when I get the chance to. Take care, everybody.